Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. Welcome back. My first live video in like 2 months. Feels like I've been living on the moon, but I'm here with Matt Seibert, my director of agent development, just really good friend. We are changing the world here. Listen, today is going to be a fun video. We're going to be talking about some things regarding how to connect better with clients. I think this is kind of something that's been coming around in my world. I keep talking to agents all the time and learning how to connect better. Stop selling. That's the title of this video. Stop selling and do this. We're going to get into all these things that you need to do to show up more powerfully and actually differentiate yourself. Like that. One of the things that I'm just getting irritated by, Matt, I'd be curious to hear your feedback and just kind of go into depth on it. But it is just the fact that I keep seeing so many people just pitching and hawking their crap. Like, and when I say crap, I don't mean like everything's a bad product, but you can have the best product or best solution in the world, but your job is to first connect with people before you try to get them to buy it. You know what I mean? And I think that's where people are kind of dropping the ball. They're missing the opportunity. And so we'll dive deep into that. Before I go there and before I pass this to you, I do feel like since we're live, I do owe people a little bit of an explanation to why I've been dark for so long at this point in time. I've been working really hard on a lot of things. First of all, we had Christmas, which, okay, we all deserve a little time off in Christmas. But I'm really, really, really excited, everybody. If you've been watching the channel, you know that I've been working on my book, IUL Exposed. This book is now coming out in February. It's taken a lot more time and a lot more energy than I anticipated to get this book with all the research and all the printing and all the kind of things that we're doing to set up the foundation of not just the book, but all the tools and the resources that go along with the book and how it's going to help people really learn deeply about this IUL stuff, right? And my mission for the book is that the book will save hundreds of thousands of people from the travesty that will befall them if they go down the IUL path. And then it's also really about trying to educate the agents out there. I mean, IUL agents are in the multiple hundreds of thousands in the country. And I really want this book to be an educational tool that says, if you do sell IUL, understand all these moving parts and understand where it goes bad, and then also understand where it can actually work, right? That's the biggest thing. And so I don't hate IUL like a lot of people think I do. I just hate the way IUL is sold and misrepresented, and that's the bottom line. And so we say all that, getting into this, it has nothing to do with this video, but since this is my first time going live in a while, I just felt like I'd come out there, kind of give everybody a little bit of the state of the union, what's going on with me. Life 180 is growing fast and amazingly, in large part because of Matt and the work he does at the back end, and how he helps support and train and teach people the strategies that we really believe in. We're really seeing a lot of lives changed, clients' lives, agents' lives, and we're seeing businesses morph in the way that people connect and communicate and share this stuff with people just shift, and it's creating such amazing results. And so really excited for 2025 and excited to have everybody here. And so that's that. I'm getting back into this. If you've seen the last couple of days, I've had some videos come out. We're getting back into the swing of things. We're going to be creating a lot more content. Got a lot of things in the pipeline. Got some new partners that have come on board, and we're really expanding what's going on. So I'm stoked about 2025, what it has to be, what it's going to create, and what Life 180 is going to turn into. We actually just hit, Matt, I don't even know if you know this, but we just hit our 1,000th contracted agent with Life 180.
Nice. Big things. I remember when I came over, it was like 10 agents.
So we got 1,000 contracted agents with Life 180 now across the country. We are in officially every state at this point in time. And so, and all this goes with very, very little internal recruiting and a lot of just people reaching out to us saying that they want to be part of our mission, part of what our vision is, part of like taking and sharing the information and education that we impart on them to their communities and people that they care about. And to me, that's what this business is all about. I feel like a lot of times people come up to me and they have a conversation with me and they say, Chris, I wasn't even aware that you had an agency. I wasn't aware I could join it. And that's really funny to me. I feel like I don't try to hide it. Granted, I don't want to be like this big salesperson, like always talking about the agency all the time. I want my channel and our brand and everything to be about education first. And if people ever want to be a part of it, well, let's go. We're here. So that's it. So Matt, what do you got to say for the beginning of the year?
Well, I'm excited. I think we'll double in size this year. I think more and more people from these MLM, GFI, WFG, PHP agencies will learn more about what we're doing and how what they're doing is totally the wrong thing for people. And that's where most of agents, they come find us because they join these MLMs. They realize that everything was completely a lie. And it's funny because I get a lot of agents that come over, and one of the things that they say is, when I joined a lot of these companies, I imagine it to be like this. This is what I thought I was getting into. I just didn't know it existed until I came over, and I was like, is this for real? And I thought the same thing, you know what I mean? Because before I came here, I almost quit the industry because I felt like it was just a bunch of scumbags. They're all dirty. And I was like, I'm done with it. And then when I met you and I came over,
I'm glad you didn't quit. My life would be much more difficult if you did.
I thought, wow, like there's a guy that's actually trying to do the right thing. We can totally build something here. And I think, a lot of people say, oh, you guys only have 1,000 agents, but yeah, we're not out there recruiting people. This is all like word of mouth, organically coming to us. But I think more and more people will learn what we're doing. And it was just, more and more people will gravitate to what we're doing. They'll come over. And I think this year will be a big turning point for us for sure.
I love it. So I know for me, getting into this, like one of my favorite things to do is obviously teach this stuff on life insurance. And I love teaching the nuts and bolts of how life insurance works. I love teaching cash flow hacking and real estate investing and all the different things. I mean, I'm coming to you from the Dominican Republic in my villa overlooking the ocean, where, not to brag or anything, I'm not trying to like be that guy, but like I am trying to say, like, you can create a life of freedom and live in a different way if you just set your money up accordingly and set your life up accordingly. We've got a retreat center down here. We do amazing events. That's a big investment for what we have going on. I love teaching people how to build the life that they want to live. That's my favorite thing. And I just think a lot of times people are selling products without being clear about what problems they're trying to solve, right? And that is the biggest challenge. Like whole life insurance, listen, if you follow this channel, I'm one of the biggest believers in whole life insurance that you'll ever find on the face of the earth, okay? That said, I could believe whole life insurance is one of the most amazing, powerful products. And if I don't understand who you are, what your visions are, what you're about, what you want your life to be about, what your goals and objectives are, where you're weak, like where you need to grow, all these different things, what your current financial situation is. Maybe you're in debt up to your eyeballs and your credit's banged up because of different reasons. Maybe whole life just isn't right for you right now, and that's okay. My job is to not sell you a product. It's to become amazing at what I do, understand all the moving parts of what I do and how I can serve different people in different ways. And if I just enter that conversation with the focus and goal and objective of making your life better and adding value to your life, the rest of it takes care of. I do believe at some point in time, you're going to need a whole life insurance policy. You're going to want one for sure. But I don't believe that everybody, and in fact, I'll say this, I think probably 40 to 50% of people, that's it, are actually ready to get a whole life insurance policy right now. Most people have some stuff that they have to take care of first. They've got to clean up their life. They got to rebuild their credit. They got to get out of debt. They got to, make sure you get a convertible term policy with living benefits or whatever ahead of time, right? Make sure you lock in your insurable interest, take care of your needs. But it's not my job to sell you any of those things. It's my job to figure out what are your goals and objectives, and then we can reverse engineer a plan there. And then my job is to consult with you, use my knowledge and expertise about the products that are available to help you solve your problems, and then go from there. And I feel like not many agents do it that way. And I think that's what makes our process with Life 180 wildly different. What say you, man?
Yeah, I think if you would ask most agents at most agencies, they'll say, "Oh, I do that." Well, they don't, because
do they though?
No, they don't, because most of the agents that come over, they come from other agencies, right? They realize we do things a little bit different here, and then they come over.
Yeah.
And what I find myself doing is undoing all the things that they learned from that previous agency. And so I could see from a large sample size from variety of agencies. So we got the MLM models, WFG, GFI, PHP. Then we got the fast transactional models like FFL, Symmetry, Equus, and stuff like that. And they both have their things, but they all come with, I do everything in the best interest of my clients. And so I test them. I say, okay, with your sales pitch, well, what do you know about your client so far? And usually it's not much. And that's really the big problem. And so I think most agents would say, oh, that's what I do, but their definition of it is skewed because the previous agency did not teach them the right way. They taught them how to pitch a product. And so, like, if you look at the MLM models, the baseline is, I'm going to get you into a meeting, then I'm going to create interest, versus I'm going to create interest, then get into a meeting. And so, and it's just a whole sales mentality. I'm going to show you a presentation, and hopefully that by the end of it, hopefully that you'll have interest, and then I can move on to discovery or clarity, right? And that's really the big problem. But the problem with the presentation is, most of the stuff you're assuming that the client has any remote interest in it at all. And so it's a numbers game. Well, if I do 100 of these, you're going to actually have some move forward. But you're not really helping the client. There's so many clients that you could have helped that didn't move forward had you had a different approach. You know what I mean? Putting them first instead of pushing upon them like, hey, did you know about the rule of 72? And do you know all this? Like, look, I'm not saying it's not valuable, but at their point in time, they might not need that, right? We need to figure out where they're at and what they need.
Right. I mean, there's certain education. And so that I think what you're saying is people are using these educational points, which the rule of 72, the 4% rule, things of that nature, Monte Carlo simulations, statistics and chances and whatever. It's not that stuff's not important. It's just when you're bringing somebody through a process, utilizing these things and stacking them together as a way to sell something of yours, which, let's be real, most of the time these conversations around the rule of 72 and the 4% rule and the Monte Carlo stuff is done by a couple different companies geared towards selling IUL, and they're trying to sell why IUL helps solve these problems when in fact it doesn't, right? And so that is the challenge. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today, and it was an agent in the business, and it was an agent that's not with Life 180. I actually got introduced to them through one of my RVPs with one of the companies we work with, and he was just saying, you guys need to connect. And so I did, and when I was talking, we got into a conversation about everything from IUL to infinite banking to whole life insurance and all the different ways that it can be utilized. And one of the things that really hit me is a half truth is a lie, right? And what we see in all these sales pitches and all these marketing pitches and all these Instagram reels and TikToks, which hopefully go away sometime soon, but like all these different methodologies in which people are sharing these half truths with people about how life insurance works, first of all, it creates confusion because it seems too good to be true. And typically anything that seems too good to be true is too good to be true. And so people get confused. They get differentiating or different information from different places, different sources. So that creates confusion. A confused mind says no. But then on top of it, it's like, if you are giving just halfway information and telling the good side and the potential of something and not actually being completely honest and forthcoming about the downside potential, where the risks are, and how these strategies not can just go well, but can actually go poorly too. well, then you're not really educating people. You're giving them a half truth geared towards pitching them your thing and selling them. And I got news for you. If you don't understand it, then you're not going to become or be who you need to be to leverage and utilize that asset properly to create the desired result that you're after. And so to me, a half truth is a lie. And listen, I've looked through every major sales pitch, slide deck from the biggest teams in all these companies. I don't care if it's GFI or WFG or PHP or PFA or any of them. They all do the same thing, and it's all just half truths without giving the full story. And quite frankly, I think that's because most of the people there don't even understand the full story. And so they just focus on learning how to sell it, not learning how to really educate people. And they do the guise of financial literacy because they taught you this rule of 72 and 4% rule and all these things, thinking like, all right, now you're financially literate. I can buy my piece of crap.
Voila, here's an IUL.
Right? Like that's just what it is. And so I don't know. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah. I mean,
what's that?
If you look at the whole system, the problem stem from the agency itself. They want sales fast and duplicatable. So everything, how they train agents is designed by speed and duplicatable, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the problem, is that's why they have the presentation, because I could take an agent out, he can learn it, and he doesn't know crap about an IUL, but go pitch the presentation next week. And now we have a system of a bunch of agents going out pitching this presentation that all of them don't know anything about an IUL, but that's okay, because there's a certain percentage of people that move forward and we're getting promoted and people are making money and we got the cash flow. That's the problem. It starts from the top down. And most of these agents are ignorant. I mean, a lot of these agents that are coming over, I feel bad for them, because like I just sat with an agent the other week. He just came on. His aunt is in WFG, and he said, please meet with her and see if you can help her. And I met with her, and we went back and forth, and she basically had nowhere to go but admit she didn't know anything about an IUL, but she said, well, you do you and I'll do me. It's basically saying, I'm going to continue to sell this product I don't understand, even though it's hurting people, right? And he, his face dropped. And then he showed me the illustrations she made for him. And in the IUL, and he's in his 20s, in the IUL, for the first 5 years, the cash flow was 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And I explained to him what that meant.
Oh my gosh.
And then I showed him how it could have been.
He's funding lower than target, probably.
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad.
That's crazy.
And
that's crazy.
He was heartbroken. He's like, why would she do that? And I said, I hate to say what I'm about to say, but she's ignorant. I don't think she intentionally wants to go hurt people, but she's, brainwashed. And, it's just the same thing that I hear over and over again, because these agencies are, selling the dream, drive a Lamborghini. All you need to do is get down this presentation and close 4 out of 10. And that's really the big problem.
That is the big problem. And that's the thing. And when you lead by trying to utilize the big dream and the Lamborghinis and the multi-million-dollar mansions as the goal, that you attract the people that's what they're after. And unfortunately, that a lot of times attracts a more desperate person who's willing to compromise to get to where they want to go. And whether they realize it, I don't think a lot of people are trying to hurt people, right? Like these agents that are coming in, they're not intentionally trying to hurt, but what happens is when you have a level of, I'm going to use the word desperation. It's not desperation. Maybe it's just like a desire to achieve a goal that you don't really believe you have the ability to do. And so if you see this path and you're told that you can do it, and they have success, and success leaves clues, so just follow their process and listen to their system and do what they do and don't ask questions, right? Like does that sound about right? Like if you do that, then what happens is you wind up like this woman, and you don't question when you are in these places. When something stops making sense or starts to not make sense, rather than seeking clarity and doing a deeper dive education, it's error by omission, which is still punishable in the court of law in a lot of situations in most areas of life, right? And so if that's the case, this is what happens. People aren't trying to hurt people, but you also want to bury your head in the sand because if you don't know exactly why what you're doing is wrong, you think you're not guilty of something. Like that's really what happens. And so that's why I say, like, I run the fine balance of talking to people. And well, you and I've dealt with this a lot, right? For a long time, came from the perspective of I'd rather somebody not sell anything for 4 or 5 months when they first join us and just learn and get educated and master this stuff, because I don't think anybody should sell anything they don't understand, and I don't think anybody should buy something they don't understand. And so the fact that people are getting into these positions just is mind-numbing to me, that we have this, like, hundreds of thousands of people that have just been hoodwinked and gone through this process. And I mean, we got hundreds and hundreds of them that have joined us after the fact because they're like, wow, I joined this organization, not us, but one of the companies, WFG, PHP, PFA, GFI, one of those organizations typically. They said, I joined this organization because I thought it was going to be a certain way. And I thought I was going to be teaching people education. I thought I was going to be serving people. And I thought I was going to get all this education to teach me what I needed to know to help people. And all they want me to do is recruit people, learn a pitch, go pitch the pitch, and go from there. And listen, first of all, those pitches are garbage. Secondly, even if they were of high integrity and high value, a pitch is still a pitch. A pitch is still about me trying to convince you of something to buy my thing. And one of the things, and I just did this today, I had a conversation with a client, with somebody who's just joining our organization, amazing, powerful woman, female agent. And she got me in front of this guy today, and really nice guy, just super good guy, going through some stuff, going through some transitions in life that he's struggling with and getting challenged by. And I was brought on the call, I think, and I didn't ask. So, that's one of the risks that people have when they bring me onto a sales call. I'm just going to do my thing. But I was brought on the call to help dial in the numbers and help really figure out, okay, here's what he has for liquid assets. Here's what he has for cash flow. He's interested. He's already bought into the idea of getting a policy, and I'm supposed to be brought in to be the closer, kind of, quote unquote, right? And I know that, like, it's beyond that, because there's the person who brought me on is amazing and super heart driven and a leader like that. So she's totally open. So I'm not trying to, like, make it sound like it's she didn't bring me on for the right reasons, because she did. And she was really interested, I think, to see my process and how I would handle the conversation. And what happened was, I had this conversation and we ended up talking for an hour just about life and his struggles and where he is, and getting clear on core values and his vision for his life and his mission. And, like, ultimately, what does he want his life to be about? And then only then can we reverse engineer a plan to actually figure out what assets, whether it's real estate, he does real estate syndication stuff, whether it's life insurance, whether it's other real estate investments, other assets, or whatever. I think it's important to understand that life insurance on its own is not going to help you get where you want to go. It might help your family get where they want to go if you die. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It has to be part, if you're trying to use it while you're alive, it has to be part of a bigger plan. It has to be part of a bigger strategy, and it has to be an asset in a pool of assets that you're using to reach your goals. It's got to be the safe money portion of your portfolio. Think of, like, what you would put in a bond portion or emergency fund portion, or anything of that nature. It's got to be that element of your portfolio, and then you can leverage it to take risk in other assets if necessary, or if that's what you're looking to do. But this is one of the reasons that I think IUL is so dangerous, is people sell these pitches, and then people look at an illustration, and the illustration is, like, maybe the sexiest thing in the personal financial world. And the problem is those illustrations never come to fruition, and people get kind of left up the creek without a paddle, and they're screwed, quite frankly. And I've seen millions of dollars of money lost in these things. this, once again, one of the reasons I wrote the book IUL Exposed is because I want people to be abundantly aware of how they work, where they are dangerous, and ultimately where they can actually help you solve your problems. And I don't believe there's one right way or wrong way to do anything. There are no good, bad products or bad products. There's just products. It's just, is it good or bad for you? And are you the person you need to be to leverage that product? Like I get people that comment on my YouTube videos all the time. What's up, Alex? I get people that comment on my YouTube videos all the time and they're like, whole life is garbage. It can be if you are not who you need to be, right? Like it is not for everybody. From a core perspective, using whole life insurance the way that I love to teach how to use whole life insurance is certainly not for everybody. But I challenge you that if you are at a place where whole life insurance is not for you right now, I would really strongly encourage you to look in the mirror and make a decision of, are you who you need to be yet to accomplish the life that you want to live? Do you have some growing to do? And I think it's our job to stop being salespeople and be more like life consultants, life coaches. I feel like when I'm getting on the phone with people, I do more life coaching and just listening and kind of counseling in that sense, because ultimately we all are emotional beings and we make decisions emotionally and we validate those decisions with logic. But those decisions that people are making, are they in alignment with what they say they want in life, with their values, their beliefs, their goals, their objectives? And for the most part, the answer is no for most people. And so I think that's the first thing that we need to be doing, is not trying to sell people our stuff, but trying to help people self-identify alignment or misalignment with how they're behaving with money in comparison to their goals and objectives. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It makes sense to us, but I think we're playing chess. A lot of these agents are playing checkers. Because I think, telesales and pitching and all that stuff, I think it's a lower level of sales. Like I think it requires a higher level of sales to be able to move people without selling them. That's a whole different ball game, right? Anybody can read a script and pitch over the phone and do that over and over again. It's a numbers game. Doesn't mean you're not going to make a lot of money that you can't, but I'm just saying your level of skill is actually a lot lower than you think. Like Andy Elliott and his whole sales stuff, that's just lower level sales skills. I think a lot of people think, oh my gosh, he's so good at sales. I think it's lower level. But if you can get somebody to do something, but on their own decision without me trying to push you, that's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different universe. Yeah. And I think that's what we're talking about. You don't really have to sell insurance. Just focus on them. And I think a lot of agents, they focus on the product level, the product, how's the product going to help you? The reality is, just like you're saying, it's more like life coaching. That's how I feel like I'm a psychiatrist sometimes, because at a personal level, they are not where they need to be financially because of a personal stuff, not financial stuff, not, you know what I mean? So we have to get down at a personal level, like, what is going on? Like, why are they behaving the way they do? Why do they believe what they do? Why do they value what they do? Why are they not aligned with what they believe? Why are they not congruent with what they believe, right? That's at a personal level where it doesn't even require the conversation of any products at that point. Like we're not even talking about that.
Or you shouldn't even get into products before that. You know what I mean? Like, so I always say to people, because sometimes I get pushback, right? And people are like, you don't need to know that about me. We don't need to get into that deep. Because I get people that call up and they're YouTube leads, right? They come through because they've watched maybe 30, 40 hours of my content. And they're like, I know exactly what I want. I know the product design. I know what company I want. I love Chris. I've watched your content. I believe in everything you say. So let's just do a policy. And they tell me exactly what they want. And I'm like, all right, pump the brakes, because I get you want that. We could start the underwriting process, but we're not doing this until I know who you are. And I don't know who you are until I understand what are your core values, until I understand what is your mission for your life, what is your actual mission statement, what is your vision statement. Have you ever taken the time? I mean, let's be real. Most people have not taken the time to go through that and understand it for themselves, so they can't articulate it to me. So if I always say, and think about it, most people, I say this all the time, but this is just the reality, is most people are failing and struggling with their money because their money is not in alignment with their values and beliefs. And so if I believe that, which I do emphatically at my core, well then, if I say I'm trying to help you, how can I actually help you if I don't understand what your core values are, what you're trying to accomplish, what your mission and vision, and what your actual beliefs are? And how can you help yourself if you don't know those things? And so at bare minimum, I want to bring people through a process with me that gets you to go internal and think about what you actually want to accomplish in your life, right? That's it. And I got a 13-page workbook that I have everybody go through. It's about a 2 to 4 hour process for people to go through that and work with me, right? But how am I supposed to help somebody if they don't do that? I mean, I could sell anybody a product, but products don't solve problems. People, you can solve your own problems. Everything you need is inside you. You just need to connect with it. Am I getting too woo-woo now?
No, it's just funny. I was thinking about when you said you have a 13-page like workbook you get clients to go through. I really think about this stuff, which is valuable. These other organizations would die because no one would be getting promoted and the cash flows would be down and it's too slow for them. And it just kind of proves the point. Like, it's all about product pushing, promotions, and sales. And they say it's all about helping people. I vomit when I hear these companies say mission over commission. I completely vomit because it's totally not true. That is not the culture. It's not true. I see what you say, but I watch what you do, and it's not in alignment. And it's funny.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And so, I mean, and I think that's just the thing. So I would encourage anybody who is an agent and is going through this process, whether you're new or you've been around the block a little bit, if you're struggling with that, if you feel like there's like incongruency with how you're having to show up versus what you feel in your gut, don't get bullied. And I'm going to use the word bullied because it is the reality. When you're out there and you're learning and you're educating or you're trying to educate yourself and you're selling to family and relationships and friendships that you care about, they're the most important people in your life, and you're going through these processes with these organizations and you're supposed to bring an upline in and just follow blindly and not really ask questions and just follow the system and all these things. If you get pushback and that pushback is telling you, oh, don't worry about that, you'll just do what I do, you don't need to know how that works, whatever it is, that, in my mind, that's kind of a form of bullying because it's putting you in a situation that's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your relationships. It's going to ruin a lot of relationships. It's going to damage the people you care about the most. And it's putting you in a situation where it's minimizing your intellectual capacity. It's like they don't think you're smart enough, or maybe the problem is they think you're too smart. And if you knew, you wouldn't actually do what they want you to do. I don't know. It's one of the two. But regardless, I believe we need to have a world of critical thinkers that think outside the box. Matt will tell you, like, everything I do, I mean, we try to create as much duplication as possible, right? We want it to be duplicatable. And I think it is duplicatable if you're willing to do it the right way. And I think and if you're willing to become who you need to become in the process. But the first work isn't you selling people. The first work is you growing yourself. That's it, right? And most people don't want to do that. They just want to get out there and start making money. And I get that. I do. I understand people have bills to pay and all these different things, but it can't be at the sacrifice of other people, right? It can't be off the blood and tears of other people and what they're looking to do. And that's the problem in this business, is that's typically what happens. And so, I would just encourage people, be willing to go slow to go fast. I use that phrase a lot. Become who you need to become. Get around people. If you're thinking about joining an organization and you need, there's a fine balance. And I think this is an area where I've evolved a bit. If you were to talk to me a year and a half ago, when we were first really getting this going, I would say this. I would say, I would rather you not sell at all. And to the point where I was like, don't sell, don't sell, don't sell. And it was not beneficial. Matt will tell you, it was bad. It was like, I'm like telling people not to sell, even if they really believed in it. I was like, no, you don't know enough yet. Like, get to the place where you truly know in your core of cores, like, this is the way to go. but that's also not good, right? Like, so I've had to evolve a little bit from that. And I can admit where I was like maybe a little too intense about it. And so, okay, now I think the key is if you're going to move fast, you have to have real mentorship, not some upline mentorship like most of these MLMs do, but real mentorship, real guidance of people that you trust. I'm really a big believer in the speed of trust. And in a real trusting relationship, when you ask them a question about something that impacts a relationship that you care about deeply and intimately, like family member buying a product from you, it shouldn't be just follow the system, success leaves clues, right? Or don't worry about that. It should be really guiding you through a process and answering your questions and taking the time to sit down with you and mentor you. And I think that's the major difference, is surrounding yourself with people that actually are trying to build you up and not just teaching you to sell a system and make more money under the guise that by you making more money, somehow you're built up. And I don't know, maybe that's just a shift in values. Maybe it's just, I don't value just money. I value lifestyle and freedom and value creation. That's where my value is. And that's what I find value in. And so from that perspective, I would say, I have evolved, and I think my evolution has gotten to the point where I think move fast, become a product of the product. I think anybody that gets in this business, you should absolutely be your first client. Because if you are not your first client, if you don't have what you're selling, especially in this life insurance space, if you don't believe in it enough to do it for yourself, and you can't influence yourself to believe that this is important enough for you, how the hell do you expect to be able to influence somebody else to do it for them and their families? Yeah. How do you expect to convey to them the importance of it when you obviously don't think it's important enough for you, right? Like it's just unrealistic. And it's some people, don't get me wrong, there are a few people in the world that have the ability to be a good salesperson and go sell anything to anybody, anytime, anywhere, and that's fine. That is not a duplicatable model. I believe in energy. I believe that the energy that you have inside will and your authenticity is going to come out into the world, and people are going to see that. People are going to feel that. And if you try to sell something you don't have, you're going to have a much harder time. And if you believe in it, if you're doing it, if in your heart of hearts, in your soul, like, wow, me not sharing this with people is going to potentially put them in a worse situation. I owe it to them to at least share with them what I'm doing for myself, what I believe in, this path, this process. And as you're going through the process, like if I'm a new agent and I'm working with Matt, for instance, I'm trying to learn about this stuff. Well, guess what? Now I've got to ask Matt all this stuff. Matt's got to walk me through his process. And I've got to ask questions like a client. And my job is to not just be the downline trying to learn how to sell this stuff. My job, first and foremost, is to take care of my family, to take care of me, and make sure that I'm being a good steward of my finances, asking the critical questions. And my job is to test Matt to see how he responds to that and how Matt's going to help lead me from a place of expertise, right? And if I get to the place where I have any hesitations, any doubts, that's okay. There's going to be things and times where Matt might not have the answer, but Matt better have the person in his pocket that he has that he can get the answer from, right? And so that's the thing. And rather than these just like duplicatable systems that are built to scale and sell fast and compound and build and recruit all these teams and grow exponentially, what's the cost of that? Right? Like that, at what expense are we doing all that? We need to think about really, truly showing up and serving people in a way that is about serving people, not about us building our teams faster. And I feel like if we do that, we may not grow as fast, but we'll grow way stronger, and it'll be way more stable, and it'll be way more impactful. And the depth of the relationships that you'll create will be far greater. Yeah.
100%. I mean, not only that, I mean, if you look at a lot of these models, you should look at the chargeback rates. It's horrendous. Like like WFG, because
Yeah, yeah.
WFG, first of all, and GFI, PHP, you can't even get your own policy. So somebody else is going to sell you a policy. And what's sad is they actually sell their own agents crap policies, which is really heartbreaking. So not only did you get a crap policy from this person that you're supposed to trust called your upline, but the reality is, once you figure out what the game is, 90% of agents quit in that model, and then they cancel all their policies and they call all their family to cancel all their policies. Great. That's a great business, isn't it? Like, seriously. I mean, I could just only imagine some of the leadership there is sick and tired of the games. I know if you're listening, reach out. There, we can totally help you. We have a lot of recovering agents and they're doing well. Believe me, it is greener on the other side. Reach out and we'll help you. But that sucks as a business that you can even keep business.
Totally. It's one of the reasons I got into a conversation with somebody the other day, and I'm just going to call these names out at the risk of my own peril, but like Patrick Bet-David and Ed Mylett, right? These are two guys that are well respected and renowned as motivational leaders, impactors, all this stuff. I have such a torn perspective on both of them because, like, every time I watch Ed Mylett talk and share a story at an event, I'm in tears because he's a powerful speaker. And I remember I was sitting with a guy who's a very, very, very well-known marketer, and I started tearing up, and he looks over me, he's like, "Are you crying?" Like, and we're in the back, and I'm like, "No, man, like, not really, like, whatever." And he's like, "You realize he made all his money off the tears of his clients, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's just filthy," right? And that was about Ed, and I was like, "Damn, he's right." And it's, the hard part is, like, these guys and you know, Patrick Bet-David, no different. I love it. If I watch his podcast, his Valuetainment show, I agree with so much of what the guy says and what he stands for, what he puts out there in the world right now. I love his content. Like, he's one of the few guys that I'll actually, like, watch. But every time I watch him, I kind of feel sick to my stomach at the same time because of the fact that I know that there's a moral dilemma in that guy, or that there's a moral compromise in him, because there's no way you run PHP as long as you did, Patrick, and I'd be happy to have this conversation live if you want to, but there's no way you run that conversation or that company the way you do for that period of time and not know what you're doing and not see all the policies lapsing and all the agents doing what they're doing and all the things that Matt just said, and see that all these policies and dreams that you're selling people are underperforming, not performing, all these things, yet you still make all the money, and you did, and you cashed out for 9 figures and all these things, and how many
their equity
tens of thousands, if not, and how many hundreds of thousands of people got hurt in the process. That's the challenge, you know, that I have. And so, you know, I'd rather take the slow route. I'd rather keep my integrity. I'd rather, you know, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like, we're all human. We all screw up. I'm not trying to, like, come from a place of holier than nowness at all, but I am saying, like, in knowing this business the way that I know it, there are limitations, right? Like, there's a difference between making a mistake and being imperfect, as we all are, and realizing something and then deciding, oh my gosh, that's not in alignment with who I want to be. I can't do that anymore, right? And that's one of the reasons I left the company. I was a director of business development for one of the top IUL companies in the country. And I believe you will not find a person who believed more in IUL than I did for a period of time. But as soon as I realized it, I had to get the F out, because I was like, I won't be able to sleep at night. And I think that's the key. Find somebody that it's not about teaching you how to learn a sales pitch or a deck, go through a slide deck presentation on teaching people how to sell. Find people that teach you how to actually connect with people, actually learn how to build relationships and ask questions and get to know them, and then help identify their challenges, and then be able to understand the products well enough so you can provide solutions to them. That's really what it is. You going out and just teaching a couple little quick tips on financial literacy, like the 4% rule and the rule of 72 and stuff like that, and then just trying to sell stuff isn't really, I think for most people, it's interesting at the very beginning because maybe it was new information and it kind of blew your mind or something of that nature. But as you become more evolved and you realize that that mousetrap is just really weak and it's dangerous and it's misleading, and it goes back to the beginning where a half truth, in my opinion, is just a lie, especially when the rest of the story from the half truth is omitted on purpose or omitted through ignorance and laziness and not wanting to take the time to do the due diligence or surround yourself with people that you can ask the critical questions of to help you become more so you can serve people at a higher level. I know people aren't trying to hurt people intentionally, but at some point in time, you have to take responsibility for your actions. That's just where I come from. Is that too intense for my first video back? I don't know.
No, I think that's spot on. I think that's very.
I don't know, but this is inspired, guys, because I've been working so hard on this IUL Exposed book, and I'll tell you what, as I worked on it, the more deeply I got into the content and the information, the research to back up all my statements and all the things and videos and whatever that I do, the more it built my belief in my perspective and what I do. And so I just think, man, this is just something everybody needs to know. And especially the people in the IUL space, you know, I just wish everybody knew it. And so, yeah, I think that's all I got for today. What is, the book isn't out yet. It's coming out in February, but you'll be able to go, the website is not up yet, but if you are watching this, say a month from now on replay, go to iulexposed.com, and that's where the book will be when it comes out. There's nothing there currently though, so be on the lookout. Thanks for asking, Alex. It's awesome. So, all right, Matt, anything else from you?
No, I think
I got all the things I needed out of my system, so I feel a little better right now.
No, I think, you know, if you're an agent and you, when you reflect back on the people that you're helping and you realize that you really don't know much about your clients and their needs, and it's really surface level, and I would argue go to your upline to see if he or she can teach you a way where you can go a little bit deeper with your clients and see how your upline reacts to that. What's going to happen is this: the ones that are really focused on promotions and sales, they're going to say, oh, you don't need to do all that. Just follow this. This works. This is proven. And then, you know, you're going to be at a crossroads and for yourself, and you're going to have to figure out what your values are. And if your values truly are putting people first and you want to help people, you're going to have to make a decision to walk away from, you know, companies that don't align with that. And I think that's the decision a lot of agents, they struggle to make. You know, a lot of agents, they stick with companies knowing that they don't align with their values. And I'll tell you this, it'll last for maybe a year or two, but it'll eat you away over time. And I think eventually you'll leave. So why not just make that jump now? And if you want to talk about what else is out there, how we run our business, how we teach things differently, reach out. And I think you'll find there is a whole different way and a whole different approach to go out and help people in this industry.
Love it. Oh, let me see. Oh yeah, no, I hope everybody's excited to get that book. I'm excited to get that book out there. I really think this book is going to turn the IUL industry on its head, because it's just the factual information that everybody needs to know. It's the history of everything. So all the IUL agents that are getting trained by these uplines that don't want you to know all the information, I just like package it all up for you in this one little concise book that in like probably 2 days you could get through and know more about how the product that they're trying to get you to sell works than they'll ever know, even if they've sold millions of dollars of product, right? Like it is what it is. So I know it's going to be a game changer, I think, for a lot of people. So I'm excited. So anyway, that is that. Matt, thanks for being here. I'm glad we got to do this again. We're going to be doing more of this. I've got videos coming out more and more regularly. I got a bunch of videos back in the can again. We're ready to roll. Got a lot of things going on. I've got some speaking engagements that I'm going to be speaking in Fort Lauderdale at the event with Tom Wall everybody that knows Tom Wall. If you're going to be at the event with Tom Wall on February 2nd through 4th in Fort Lauderdale, I think there's going to be like 200 or 300 people at that event. It's going to be amazing. Really excited to speak at that and talk about the IUL Exposed stuff. And I'm going to be speaking with Tom Wall and getting on a panel with Bobby Samuelson and Tom. That's going to be exciting. And then I'm going to be speaking at another event just outside of Austin, the 6th through the 9th. So if you're in any of those areas, feel free, email me, chris@life180.com. We can connect. And that's it. Till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. Thanks, guys.